Hi guys, and welcome to today's task. For today's task, we are discussing all things hitches, and we're even going to install a special kind of hitch. I don't know how many of you have a vehicle that uses a hitch, but if you don't, here's a few different kinds. This is a exotic hitch. This is a hitchcock. It's meant for rock climbing and things like that to protect the back end of your truck. This is a standard hitch. This is kind of a 2-inch receiver, and this is what's going to be on most vehicles. This is an adjustable hitch. A lot of vehicles have these. This is a standard 2-inch shank, and you can swap either side, so you have two different sizes of balls for hitches. This is a very intense but very versatile adjustable hitch. This one will move up and down 8 inches of travel either way. This is meant for a bigger style shank, like a 3/4 ton or bigger. And then last but not least, we have the mother of all hitches, the gooseneck hitch that goes in the middle of the bed of your truck. And this is what we're going to install today. Using the car's tire irons, you will access the spare wheel entryway and start removing the spare wheel. Using a 10mm socket, remove the heat shroud. There are 5 bolts to undo, and then your shroud will be free. The next step is to disconnect the exhaust from the exhaust hanger. The hard part of our job is done. We've removed the spare tire, we've removed the heat shroud, and we've removed the exhaust. A year ago when I did this on my own truck, I tried to not remove the exhaust because I just didn't want to, and I fought it for hours, and then I ended up doing it anyway. So don't try to shortcut steps. Give yourself the most workable space possible by removing everything that needs to come off. Now with everything removed, our hitch is gonna go right here, and Dodge, which my truck and my father-in-law's truck have built-in plates already set in, so all we do is drill and bolt in. Your hitch is gonna come with a gauge that's meant to go in this already designated hole in the center of your bed, and you put it in and then hole punch so you know just where to drill. And that's all that gauge is good for, is that one little mark right there, but it is essential and it centers it perfectly every time. Using a 1/8 drill bit, I'm gonna create a pilot hole for the rest of the hole saw to take care of. Okay, now we're gonna work from the top down. We're gonna use a 3.5-inch hole saw with a arbor in it. And remember, you're gonna wanna use cutting oil so that you don't tear the metal or anything like that. You make the best and smoothest cut possible. Before we move on, we want to clean up all of the metal shards left in the bed. With all of our metal cleaned up and the oil taken off, we want to take a file and deburr all of the hole and prep it for paint. You're going to want to use spray paint to touch up the metal that we've exposed so that we don't get any rust. Because there's a small gap between the bottom plate and the bed of the truck, there's a plate that you slide underneath there. In order to attach the hitch to the frame, there has to be these plates with these nuts attached to them that you slide in from the sides and bolt in. So the metal plates slide in from the sides of the bed above the wheels. And this is where having 2 people comes in real handy, because one person can feed it in and the other person can guide them. Now with all 4 holes aligned, we're ready to bolt the hitch in. With all the bolts just loosely put in place, now you can tighten it down with your sockets. Now with our sockets tightened, we're going to torque them down to 150 pounds of torque. That's a lot of torque.
Okay, I can only get to 148.
So we're going to assemble our latch pin handle outside of the truck first. Your carriage bolts have a square top to sit in the top of this to act as a wrench, and then 2 flange nuts that will need to be tightened and torqued to 30 pounds. From underneath the truck, you're gonna feed your latch pin handle to the outside. Now with it in place, your bolts should align, and you'll bolt this one the same way, and 30 foot-pounds of torque as well. Our next step is to drill the safety hole chains, and in order to do that, we're gonna set our ball in place, but not to be locked in place so it sticks above our bed. Then with the safety chain U-bolt drill guide, we'll place that over top the square of the ball. And depending on what style of truck we have, whether it's a 3/4 ton or a 1 ton, we have designated drill marks. And I would hole punch those so you drill securely. Now with our hole punches marked, we can start drilling with a 1/8 bit. So I've only drilled a pilot hole for the bed of the truck. Now I need to go through that same hole and drill through the plate so that our safety chains are secured to the frame of the truck. All 4 of these holes have to end up at a 1/2 inch diameter, but that's a big jump from 1/8 inch to a 1/2 inch. So we're gonna step it up from 1/8, which we've done, to 1/4 to 3/8 to 1/2 inch. So we're gonna go up 1/8 of an inch each time. One thing you wanna make note of is that you're square from either direction so that your holes are straight down. For visual purposes, we're gonna demonstrate this above the truck rather than try to do it below. You're gonna set this U-bolt into the 2 holes that we just drilled. Then from underneath, you'll feed a spring on that'll pinch between the plate or the bed frame and the truck. And then you'll feed another nut on. And these are top lock nuts. So you're going to wanna feed this nut on until it seats all the way up into the top of those threads. Then it will hold and you can lift them out of the bed when you're ready to chain it up. And so the other gooseneck drivers can identify you as a gooseneck hitch person yourself, you get a sticker.
Lift that spring up with your finger out of the way of the threads, and then
now you can start reassembling. There you go. Now with the grommet seated, you can tighten up your belt. And with your tire iron and gear, lift your tire back up. Hopefully this doesn't seem like too daunting of a task to put in a gooseneck ball in your truck, but you do need 2 people to do this. I did this last year with just me, and it was very gruesome and very hard, and that's why it didn't get filmed, because it was just too difficult. I will leave a link in the description down below for this exact hitch for this particular truck. Now I know that's really narrow, but it at least is the system that we've used and we really like it. And then I'll leave a link down below for the drills and some of the drill bits that we used as well. If you like today's video, give it a thumbs up, and if you're new to the channel, subscribe. Come in the frame and stand kind of by that corner of the bed. Yeah, right there's perfect. Okay. I don't know how many of you using it. Oh, hold on, wait for this plane. Stupid plane.
we have to. We waste so much time waiting for those.
Hey, wait. Shh. What? Today's top channel?
That's darn right. Hey, quiet, lady. We're filming.
Okay.
It's right on set. All right. Lincoln, you gotta be quiet, bud. Next step, oh sorry. Yeah, if we leave this empty, it's a perfect drain plug for when you fill this up like a pool.
See, then you can make a pool.